Hey guys, I'm going to make a super quick video for you about this idea of word association that I mentioned on Friday for those of you that were in my Zoom calls. So basically, word association, honestly, you can play it as a game. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. The goal is just to try to connect as many words as you can. Think about ways that you could connect back to Unit 2, back to Unit 3, back to Unit 4, so on and so forth. So I'm going to show you kind of what made sense to me. It might not make sense to you, and that's okay. You're not necessarily trying to get any one goal out of this. It's just a way for you to think about what we've learned. So if your outcome looks totally different from someone else's, it's fine. It's just a way to go through a bunch of vocab at once. Okay, so Okay, like I said, this makes sense to me. It might not make sense to you. So I started up here with Green Revolution. And underneath that, I just wrote like a super simple definition, getting agricultural techniques to LDCs. That's not a complete definition by any means. It's just like a simple, basic idea. Remember that the Green Revolution is more about getting agricultural techniques to LDCs because MDCs already have this stuff. MDCs already know how to modify our crops. So we're trying to share the technology. Sorry, I'm shaking a ton. I just had a Mountain Dew, so I guess I'm getting a little crazy. Unit 4, the way I would associate Green Revolution with Unit 4, I have NGOs as in non-governmental organizations and supranationalism. And I put a definition there belonging to an organization of countries. Some examples, the UN, EU, and NATO. The reason I thought of them is, thinking about, okay, how do we get genetically modified crops to LDCs or third world countries? A lot of the stuff, it is being sent through these NGOs, these non-governmental organizations, the charities of the world, and then again through the UN, especially through the UN is a big one. Okay, so then how does all this stuff relate to Unit 3? If I'm thinking about countries that are supposed to be benefiting from the Green Revolution, it's probably countries that are LDCs, like I mentioned up at the top. LDCs are known to embrace folk culture. When thinking about folk culture, for me, it brought to mind relocation diffusion. It might not for you, but I was just thinking about, folk culture doesn't really spread from the hearth unless it's relocated. When you think about folk culture, you think about ethnic religion. And I just wrote to the side 2 examples of ethnic religion. If we're going to try to relate folk culture back to Unit 2 and LDCs back to Unit 2. Now I'm thinking about, okay, an LDC is probably a stage 2 country. They probably have high birth rates, so maybe they have anti-natalist policies. They might have a high rate of migration. They might have rapid urbanization, and rapid urbanization associates with squatter settlements. Squatter settlements associate with megacities. Megacities require unique ways to grow food, which links us back to the Green Revolution. Boom. Okay, just because this stuff makes sense to me does not mean it necessarily has to make sense to you. Yours might not necessarily make sense to me. It's okay. These are just a bunch of different ways to associate vocab words and try to cover as much ground as possible. So I hope this helps, and I really miss you guys, and I wish I could see you, and we're almost out of school. Yay!